Hey y'all, it's Aaliyah. Now, as you can read by the title of this video, I read the first 50 chapters of this hot manga that is rising in popularity called Chainsaw Man, which is written and illustrated by Tatsuki Fujimoto. Spoilers, but I had a pretty great experience reading it, so I'm just going to give my first impressions and thoughts on the many aspects that made this series stick out to me, and yeah. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, then sit back, relax, grab your snacks, and without further ado, let's get to it. So in the most simplest definition possible, Chainsaw Man is about this hornball kid who can turn into a badass humanoid chainsaw devil. We got our protagonist named Denji, who works for this governmental devil hunter organization and helps them hunt down these dangerous devils in order to not be hunted down by them. Alright, so now that we know the basis of what this manga is about, I'm going to start off with the things that I like about Chainsaw Man so far. The art style has this sort of simplistic and clean-cut look, and I honestly grown to really like it. I feel like Fujimoto's style is unique enough to stand out from other manga art styles. Plus, it does the job by being easy on the eyes, while still making sure to add intense details when it comes to the action scenes. I like how the manga can switch when the story calls for it. So I really dig the way Fujimoto draws, keeping my interest visually while being able to easily convey its story. I also like how colorful the manga covers are. The action scenes are gruesome, gory, and brutal, and I freaking love it, man. In my opinion, they are well paced, and there's barely any that feels like it's dragged out or feels like filler. Now, I'm not used to many bloody and intense action scenes in manga, so it was a bit of a shock seeing how much raw detail the author puts into these fight scenes. Denji in Chainsaw Mode is always enjoyable to see, not just because of his extreme personality shift, but because his attacks are so intense that I can almost mentally hear the chainsaw noises as I read the panels he kicks booty in. Also, I feel like every protagonist needs limitations in their weapons or powers in order to prevent themselves from being potentially overpowered. So the fact that Chainsaw Mode takes a lot of his energy and blood, I think is a good obstacle for Denji in terms of combat. Plus, him learning new ways to destroy his enemies and to extend his time in Chainsaw Mode is really cool to see as well. But besides Denji, the fight scenes does the job in keeping me on my toes and engaged from beginning to the end of the fight. Even though there are more things I like about Chainsaw Man than I dislike, I do have a couple of minor gripes with the series. So let's go ahead and rip the band-aid off. This is not really a criticism, but I guess my main gripe is I wish that Denji will give up on his infatuation with Makima, because sometimes I feel like him constantly thinking about Makima takes away the opportunity of expanding more on his character and showing more layers of him. Now, I get that he's a teenager and boys at 16 can get super hormonal and develop crushes quickly, but I just hope that Denji gets over his crush over Makima soon, because I feel like it's kind of one-sided despite Makima playing along to his lust after her. And I may even be bold and suggest that Makima may be playing him and baiting him due to being so naive and wrapped around her finger. I know this isn't really too much of a solid criticism, but it's just one aspect of Denji's character that I kinda don't like. And yes, I get that she saved him, took him into the organization, and low-key gave him a better life, but this is still my opinion. Another thing I kinda don't care for is this whole little harem thing going on for Denji, because first we have Makima and her potential baiting, then we have the whole questionable stuff with Himino, then we have the whole situation with Reze, even though she lured and fooled him. I don't count Power and the whole boob touching thing because I honestly see her and Denji as friends for right now. I sense no romantic tension coming from them whatsoever, which is what I prefer in love actually. Like, I have a feeling Denji's gonna get the whole harem treatment, and I really don't like the harem trope in manga and anime. I'll make a whole video on why, but I just don't like it. And if we have more female characters coming in who will unexpectedly, quote unquote, unexpectedly take a deep liking to Denji, I can see this forming into a flaw for me for the series. But I'll just have to wait and see. And other than those two things, I don't have much else to consider a gripe or a complaint, or even a criticism, really. Everything else has been enjoyable and satisfying for me as a reader, even with my nitpicking tendencies. Which for a shonen manga is hella rare for me, so good job, Chainsaw Man. Let me give you a clap. Good, good job. Here's a gold star. Now, the story isn't too complex if you compare it to others, but it's not like that's a bad thing at all. If anything, it's kind of a breath of fresh air that the story is so direct and operates in a kind of point A to point B type of formula. It was easy to get absorbed within the linear plotline, and I have nothing but curiosity to see where the story goes from chapter 50. Reading these 50 chapters was an entertaining experience. There was barely any moments where it felt like a chore to read through. Also, I really like the different wicked and twisted looking designs of the various opposing forces and the devil monsters I've seen so far. Really cool how there are some that are one dimensional, some being complex, while others being right in the middle. Also, it's intriguing seeing the lengths they'll go to either kill Denji or get what they personally want. Fujimoto does a good job in telling his story, where every other chapter there are more layers added to the characters or progressions to their individual storylines. I really like Denji as a protagonist. I feel like he's pretty accurately written as a teenage male character, and he manages to hold my interest just as much as the side characters, which is kind of rare for me. I like his brash, harsh, reckless, sort of naive personality. Even though his personality fits the typical shonen male protagonist, there's a different execution with the archetype when it comes to Denji, which honestly makes sense since he never went to school, so he wouldn't know how to properly socialize with people or have too much of a high intelligence in academics. But he makes up for it with his street smarts, and I love how he is beginning to learn these life lessons through his missions. I also really enjoy when there are moments where he questions himself as a person and wonders what he truly wants out of life. I like those intimate moments with Denji because it does nothing but help me connect with him more as a character. There's definitely a lot of room for growth for Denji, so I'm really curious to see where his character goes from here. I gotta say this, but Power is my favorite character. I don't know if that's a popular answer, but I had to admit it. I plan on making a more in-depth video on why she's my favorite character, but I'll briefly discuss why here. I like how she's this selfish, loud, and immature character who openly admits that she has no emotional ties to humans. She's straightforward, blunt, and a bonus, she's a cat lover. Also, as a female character, I like how she's presented as not being classy, being pretty messy, and being often disordered. Because I feel like there needs to be more female characters written like that, and not like humanoid, squeaky clean angels. So I really like those qualities in her as a character, and I just love Power, man. She's so awesome. Also, every time her and Denji are together is just greatness. I love how their friendship developed for when they first met, and they are now the chaotic duo I never knew I needed. I love them and their shenanigans. Now, let's talk about the best boy of the series, and that is Aki. Can we please talk about the level of growth his character undergoes? Like, seeing him start off as this cold, seemingly emotionless person, to him reaching his breaking point by crying over Himino, to him molding into this mature, determined, and helpful person in the span of 50 chapters. And he's just a side character. That's pretty amazing in my book. I really enjoy seeing him come to terms with Himino's death after properly grieving over her. Now, I think in chapter 25, Himino said to herself, "It would be nice to have someone cry over you," or something along those lines. Then, chapters later, you see Aki crying over her being gone. I like how that detail came full circle. Seeing his backstory and his motivation for killing the gun devil just made me see him in a new light, especially since he's been through so much loss with his family, then Himino. I can confidently say that Aki has quickly grown on me as a character. I love how he's the cool-headed one out of the group, and I like how he's complex enough where he can show these different sides to him. Aki, at this current moment, is my second favorite character, and I just love the development and progression he goes through. I like how all the other side characters stand out with their personalities and personal goals. I think the character designs, although it's pretty simple, does the job in making each important character noticeable to the reader. Now with Makima, she's a bit of a head scratcher, but she's still interesting as a side character. She gives me anti-hero type of vibes, and I'm beginning to think she's a static type of character. Which is cool because if that's the case, then I think she's being handled right as a static type of character. I'm just trying to figure out her personality and want to know more on her background. She's like one big mystery that I'm really curious in uncovering. Hopefully I get to know her psyche soon, but for so far, Makima has been an interesting suspicion for me. Oh, and she's pretty broken too, like, holy crap. What made Chainsaw Man great for me so far is that I feel like it has strengths in every core aspect that makes a good story. It has strong character interactions and a solid cast, an interesting and straightforward plot, brutal and strong enemies that don't feel cartoonishly, quote unquote, rub their hands together evil. The art style is pretty darn good. The action scenes are well paced and on point. It has some well handled female characters who aren't reduced to eye candy, a pretty enjoyable protagonist, and enough charm to leave me wanting to read more. Plus, with me only having a couple minor nitpicky gripes with the series, I have to say that this manga is pretty freaking great, in my honest opinion. Now, would I recommend Chainsaw Man to a fellow manga fan? You guys should know my answer, but heck yeah, I would. But I will give a warning of frequent displays of gore, lots of displays of blood, and constant hormonal teenage emotions from Denji. I feel like if you can't handle those three main things, then this manga isn't for you. This manga is also very blunt, risque, and bold, so if that isn't your style, then this manga is probably not for you either. But if these qualities are your personal taste, then I highly recommend you read Chainsaw Man because holy moly, this manga is a constant adrenaline ride, and I don't want to get off it. I really can't wait to read the remaining rest of the series. I already catch myself retweeting fan art on Twitter, and I'm so excited for the anime adaptation to hopefully, fingers crossed, bring this manga justice. I plan on making a follow-up video on my opinion on the rest of the chapters, but I'll focus more on my personal feelings on the current storyline from this point on. Oh, and I heard that the manga ended recently or is planning on ending, so my next video on Chainsaw Man will also give my thoughts on the ending and my final verdict on the series after I finish it. But if you wish to see my follow-up opinion on Chainsaw Man, then feel free to subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for that. But let me know your thoughts on Chainsaw Man, but please no spoilers on any chapter or character after chapter 50 in the comment section. Do you guys love Chainsaw Man? Do you hate it? Or do you have mixed feelings about it? Also, let me know how you felt about my thoughts so far on the series. Also, give me some manga or anime recommendations that you would like to see me review or talk about. Whichever ones that get the most hype around it will be the first ones I check out. Oh, and by the way, I have another channel that strictly covers One Piece content, from reviews, discussions, to just anything that's geeking about One Piece, basically. So if you're a fan of that series, then feel free to subscribe to my One Piece Stitcher channel. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then it'd be really cool if you body slam that like button, because it really helps a girl out. Please subscribe for anime reviews, anime movie reviews, and manga reviews in the future. Hit that bell notification so you can always be notified whenever I post. Links to my socials on Discord are in the description box below. Please stay safe out there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!